This is the Nintendo Entertainment System I got for Christmas back in 1987. Although it's a great little system that still works to this day, I have to admit that the games look kinda crummy when hooked up to my high-definition television. This is the Retrobit RES Plus, which I got only a couple of weeks ago. It plays all of the old NES cartridges and even uses the same controllers and accessories. It's a $40 clone that upscales your favorite games to 720p, giving them a brand new life on your HD TV. But before you throw your old NES in the trash and order a brand new RES Plus, there are a few things you need to know. Let's start with the positives, such as the fact that the RES Plus gave me the perfect excuse to spend all day playing old 8-bit cartridges. I pulled out a couple dozen of my favorite NES games, made a few drinks, and camped in front of my TV while playing through Ninja Gaiden, Super Mario Bros. 3, and Codename Viper. The system works great and is easy to use, which is basically 75% of what you're looking for from a cloned console. The $40 package comes with a nice, compact system that is significantly smaller and lighter than the console Nintendo released back in 1985. It also includes 2 controllers with an eerie resemblance to the classic gamepads, as well as an HDMI cable for your TV. The RES Plus also has an AV output like the old systems, but you'll need to round up your own cords to hook it up to your old television set. What I like about the RES Plus is that it uses the standard controller plug, which means that you can use pretty much all of the classic NES accessories that you have laying around. It also plays all of the American games I tested, including some of my unlicensed games, Tengen titles, and even a few sequels that other reviews said wouldn't work. For example, I read a critic complain that Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse wouldn't boot up, but I had no issue making it through the first couple hours. The only game I couldn't get running was my Famicom version of Final Fantasy 3, which wouldn't even boot up with an adapter. Unfortunately, I wasn't thrilled with the packaged gamepads. These little guys have a long cord and feel right in my hands. They weren't as responsive as I would have liked. At first I thought I might be misremembering the timing of these old games, but the responsiveness problem cleared right up the moment I plugged in the official NES controller. If you plan on buying an RES Plus, I strongly recommend tracking down one of the original controllers from the 1980s. They make a big difference. It's also worth mentioning that the compact top-loading design comes with one big drawback. I noticed while testing games that the cartridge slot had a bad tendency of peeling back the sticker. I had to be real careful when plugging in cartridges. This wouldn't be an issue if the front of the slot was either further out or shaved so that it wouldn't have a rough edge. But it's worth keeping in mind if you're planning on buying the RES Plus. I think my biggest complaint involves the way the system stretches the video to fit my 16:9 display. There are no options with the system, and what you see is what you get. So the only way to preserve the original aspect ratio is to go in and actually change it in the TV options. And this may not even be an option for everybody, which means that some people will just have to get used to playing Super Mario Bros. 3 with a stretched picture. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like that this doesn't have the option to switch aspect ratios, but I do think the picture looks pretty good. You don't get the rough edges and imperfections of running a classic NES through an HD TV, and I didn't run into any of the problems commonly associated with emulation. The downside is that the picture is unnaturally stretched, which is incredibly disappointing. It's also worth mentioning that the RES Plus is a bare-bones console with no bells and no whistles. It would have been nice to see an SD slot that allowed you to save and load progress, but there's nothing like that here. On the other hand, the $40 asking price is a good value for those who just want to spend a few days revisiting old cartridges that are doing little more than collecting dust. The Retrobit RES Plus is a no-frills Nintendo clone that plays all of the old cartridges. It's compatible with the classic controllers, and is relatively cheap. It gets the job done, and that's about it. Sadly, the package is marred by a rough cartridge slot, imprecise controllers, and a picture that is permanently stretched to 16:9. I had a lot of fun revisiting my favorite 8-bit games, but Retrobit still has some work to do when it comes to building a better NES. Hey, thanks for watching our review. So here's the question of the day. What's your favorite game on the Nintendo Entertainment System? There's no way this is going to turn controversial. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. In other news, I'm spending this week playing catch up. I'm currently going through Baja Edge of Control HD, Cook Serve Delicious 2, Bleed, Distrust, Project Remedium, and so much more. In fact, I have so many reviews to get through that I'm debating starting a new show where I recap 3 shorter bite-sized takes. We'll see if that happens or not. Either way, I recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.